Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me here today. I just thought I would talk about, because there's so much of it out there and I hear people talking about often about like, how do you decide? There's so much very conflicting plant-based health information. Everybody telling you what to do, everybody telling you this is the only path, that's the only path, and you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. So people tend to get confused on that, but you don't really have to be confused on that. This is 2024, folks. We have tons of information out there. I know I'm just always beating this message over and over, but podcast, I love podcasts. That's basically all I listen to. That's all I listen to when I go to the gym. That's all I listen to when I'm riding around in my car. In fact, I couldn't get I was having a problem with my app the other day, and it was weird riding around listening to music. But there's so much good information out there. And I'm just, like I say, this is just kind of my opinion on the matter, but I think you need to just kind of take a step back and consume information on your own. In other words, just like listen to the podcast, watch YouTube videos. But when I recommend YouTube videos, or when I say YouTube videos, I'm not even talking about anything like me. I'm not talking about just some dude or some woman that's doing videos, you know, from wherever. I'm talking about actual people that are, you know, have credentials. They've maybe done research on this subject and what have you. And just use your common sense. I think too many people are trying to get their information by arguing it through comments in Instagram, other forms of social media, YouTube, and whatever. And they're just going back and forth, or they're doing that on Facebook in Facebook groups, which to a large extent, I've just found Facebook groups to be very useless for most things. And this can be one of them, because everybody thinks they are right. Everybody thinks they know the one true way to do it. And I just say, like, absorb the information, absorb a variety of information, even like watch things, consume information that even conflicts with the way that you think about doing things. Listen to information that is not plant-based. Just listen to information objectively and see what makes sense to you. I was listening to, that's why I'm constantly recommending The Proof with Simon Hill. I listened to a really good episode last week with Simon Hill and Ellen Fisher. And I listened to it twice because, you know, when I'm in the gym, even though I'm listening, I'm working out, there's distractions, somebody does this over here. So I listened to it twice. And it was a really good one. And that's actually kind of what got me thinking about this. And the reason I'm always recommending that particular podcast is that, number one, he has guests on there that are not plant-based. He has a lot of like doctors, he has a lot of researchers, scientists, what have you. And I actually like that, the fact that he has people on there that aren't necessarily plant-based, or like a lot of the people are not plant-based, fully plant-based, they're plant-forward. A lot of the researchers, a lot of the scientists are, you know, but that's the kick for me, and that's what really means a lot more to me, is when somebody that's just objectively a scientist confirms. There's just certain nutritional stuff that it's not plant-based or not plant-based. It's just we need these certain nutrients in our body. We need these certain things in our body. So that's why, like I say, just over and over, I'm going to keep recommending that podcast. And another reason I like that, and I'm going to start taking advantage of it, even though I'm not sure if I will know how to even read studies, but on a lot of the heavy-hitting episodes that he has there, especially depending on the guest and depending on the subject, he always has links in his show notes. He has links to studies, and I actually marked and saved that talk he had with Ellen Fisher, because there were a number of things in there on things like lectins, lipids, various forms of fat, and what have you, to where you can actually just go and read the study yourself. And these are not just like studies in some little fly-by-night thing. These are studies in respected journals peer reviewed, what have you. But the point being is you just need to make the decisions for yourself. You need to kind of put a little bit of responsibility on yourself and sift through all this information and figure out what is kind of BS and what is like actual factual scientific information. And that's just not going to happen by just asking everybody online a question and waiting for them to get back to you. This stuff. Listen, I'm not terribly bright. I don't think I'm any smarter than any of you people. If I can understand this information, it's just really kind of using common sense, using my brain. I go, does this make sense to me? And like I say, I consume a lot of plant-based stuff, and I'm like, some of the plant-based stuff that certain people, recommend doesn't make any sense to me. Some of the stuff that people that are not plant-based, what they recommend makes a lot of sense to me. Now, don't get it wrong. I'm not eating things that are not plant-based, but just their knowledge on the various science of nutrition and the things that we need in our body, it makes sense to me. And I think it will make sense to you. And it does the same thing when I'm reading stuff that I'm like, okay, I don't really buy this, but let's read about conflicting information. Let's read about actual information that's diametrically opposed to the plant-based stuff that I'm reading. And like I say, in the end, I choose to eat how I choose to eat. That's why I'm never doing this channel. I'm talking about how I choose to eat, and I just share what I'm doing here. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to preach to you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. I just try to kind of like point you in directions. And, like I say, getting back to your resources and the people that you listen to, take the personal BS out of that. Like, people talk about their plant-based idols and their heroes and who they look up to. I respect a lot of people out there, but I'm not a child. I don't have heroes. I don't have like these big inspirational things. I'm a little bit more cerebral. I like to just go through information and just evaluate the information with no emotion or nothing else put in there. When you start putting personalities in there, people will sometimes, oh, well, I like this person, so they will buy everything that person says, or they will believe everything that person says just because they like that person. Not making the person a bad person, but there's nobody out there that I've found that I take 100% of their information and I do eat or do exactly like they do. So just take a step back from the conflicting information and just go through it. And listen, this is kind of a constant thing. A lot of times people will see these long podcasts, like an hour and a half or 2 hour podcasts. Everybody's consuming some content. You don't have to consume it all at once. Sometimes I'll start an hour and a half podcast, and it's 3 days before I get through the whole thing. But whether you like to read, whether you like to just search things on Google or ChatGPT, that's a great one right there. You can get on ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to compare certain different ways of eating and whatever, and you can get a lot of information there. So all in your hands. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And like I say, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and come join us again. Peace.